I used to think intelligence was the most valuable currency in life. That if you were smart enough, quick enough, if you could solve the equations and anticipate the market and outcode the next guy.
You'd win. But winning, whatever that even meant, didn't feel the way I imagined it would. There were nights when the silence in my home was louder than the applause outside. Success had filled my calendar, but it hadn't yet filled my soul. I had built systems that worked flawlessly, yet I still struggled to understand the cracks within myself. When I left Harvard, I told myself it was because I believed in the dream. That was true, but it was also because I was terrified of a life that didn't belong to me. Courage didn't look like bold speeches or billion-dollar launches back then. It looked like quietly choosing to trust a feeling inside me more than a structure around me. It looked like walking away from approval and walking toward purpose, even when that purpose didn't yet make sense to anyone else. I have failed more often than I care to count. People remember the victories. They remember Microsoft, the foundation, the numbers. But I remember the code that crashed, the deals that fell through, the people I let down, the ideas that never took off. I remember feeling like I had nothing left but a blank screen and a tired heart. But I learned that failure doesn't define you. It reveals you. Every time something broke, I had a choice: build a wall or build a bridge. I tried to build bridges even when it hurt, especially when it hurt. Healing wasn't part of my business plan. I didn't schedule it into my week, but it showed up anyway. In the form of conversations that stripped me bare, in the quiet moments reading letters from people whose lives had been changed not by my money, but by my attention. Healing came when I finally stopped trying to fix the world and started listening to it, when I began to realize that even the most brilliant mind is nothing without an open heart. Inner strength doesn't look like what you think it does. It's not always loud or fierce. Sometimes it's the softest thing in the room. The ability to keep going when you don't know how. The willingness to forgive yourself for not being perfect. The courage to admit you're tired, but still choosing to show up. I've seen that kind of strength in children with no shoes but infinite hope. I've seen it in mothers who walk for miles just so their child can learn to read. I've seen it in people who've lost everything and still believe tomorrow might be kinder. Beauty, I've come to understand, isn't polished. It's raw. It's the scar that reminds you of the wound you survived. It's the vulnerability to cry in front of someone and the generosity to laugh with them a moment later. It's not what the mirror reflects. It's what the soul radiates. I spent years trying to impress people with my intellect. Now, I just want to connect with them through my humanity. Dreams are not a luxury. They're a necessity. But they're also dangerous if you let them go unchecked. A dream without empathy can become greed. A dream without service can become ego. My dream started with technology, but it only became meaningful when it turned into a vehicle for dignity, for equity, for healing. The dream was never just about computers. It was about people. It was about reminding each child who held a device that their ideas mattered, that they mattered. Self-worth is not something you earn through achievements. Believe me, I've tried. It's something you uncover by asking yourself the hard questions. Who am I when I'm not being applauded? What do I value when no one's watching? Can I still love myself on the days I feel unlovable? For too long, I measured my value by productivity. Now I try to measure it by presence, by how gently I speak to myself, by how willing I am to see others not as data points, but as miracles. I've learned that true wealth is not in numbers, but in depth. The depth of your kindness, your resilience, your willingness to begin again. I've stood on stages and sat in slums and been humbled by both, because in both places I've seen the same truth. Every human being just wants to matter, to feel seen, to feel safe enough to dream. That's not idealism. That's the foundation of progress. So if you're sitting there wondering if your pain disqualifies you, let me be clear, it doesn't. Your wounds are not your weakness. They are the proof that you've lived, that you felt, that you've risked something real, and that makes you powerful beyond measure. We are not here to impress the world. We are here to illuminate it, not with perfection, but with honesty, with scars and stories and second chances. The world doesn't need another perfect person. It needs someone brave enough to be real, someone like you.